We had a guy bring in a drill. He said it stopped working. We asked him where he got it. He got it at a big box store.
Yeah.
We took it apart and we opened up one of ours. There were plastic internals in the one from the big box store and brass in ours. Had the same model number and everything.
Chainsaws are the same way.
It was so crazy.
Yeah.
And we were like, and they were selling it for, 30% cheaper than ours, but it looked exactly the same from the outside and he couldn't believe it. You get what you pay for in this day and age.
How often do you have people come in the store and talk to you about the YouTube?
Almost every day.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I see and talk to a lot of leaders that don't really believe in marketing in our industry. I don't understand it because it's the thing that brings business in, but they somehow don't see that.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
Look at all the biggest businesses in the world. They're all spending a fortune on marketing.
In a business where you are planning on being there in a generation, that's worth it.
You still have to be investing in it, both in building your brand, maintaining your brand, and growing your brand, getting new customers to come in. You can't ever sacrifice either one.
Welcome to the Grit Blueprint Podcast, the playbook for building unmistakable brands that grow, lead, and last in the built world. I'm Stephanie Couch, the founder of Grit Blueprint, and I'm a lifelong building industry insider. I was raised here, built my career here, and now my team and I help others win here. The truth is, you can be the best option in your space and still lose to someone else who simply shows up better and more consistently. Each week on the Grit Blueprint, I'm going to show you how to stand out, earn trust, and turn your brand into a competitive advantage that lasts. If you're ready to be seen, known, chosen, and become unmistakable, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Grit Blueprint Podcast. I am your host, Stephanie Couch, and I'm here today in Orlando, and I'm really excited. So I have the CEO of Randy's Hardware here. Christian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Stephanie.
And we have met a few times in passing, but I'm really excited to get to talk to you because your story is intriguing. A lot of what you guys are doing is pretty cutting edge, and you are really making some ripples. And you are in the beautiful location in Virginia. You have 4 stores. And so I want to talk a little bit today about some of the cool stuff you're doing and figure out what people need to know about running a hardware store and going up against some retail giants. So you started out in Randy's Hardware as a part-timer, and now you're the CEO, so quite a progression. What changes happened in you as going from part-time? How did you get started? Tell me the whole story. I want to know.
Well, it's a family business, so I had that leg up, of course, but I started out, managing other businesses as a career.
Okay.
And just took some time off of school and managing businesses to get started in hardware and working part-time in the family business, and found out I really enjoyed it and liked helping people, especially, and solving problems and that sort of thing. And so part-time turned into full-time, turned into management, turned into executive position, and then turned into chief executive position,
What other businesses, what other industries were you in? Were you in a totally different industry before?
I was in construction management, and then before that, my family has a pool business in Las Vegas.
Very cool.
I'm managing that for them.
Okay. So you've got some breadth of industry, but, kind of all in something in the industry. What makes you keep coming back to that? Is it the family ties? Is it just the people here? Because it is a different thing. I feel like once you get in, you can't get out.
Yeah. For me, it is the family ties. I was always looking for a generational business that I could be a part of, and not only for me, but for my kids and for their kids. And so I wanted something I could pass on and build for them.
That's such a beautiful thing. My family was in the industry, and I'm doing something a little different. So I'm like sort of third generation, but obviously a different flair. Sure. But very Stephanie. Yeah. However, it is so special to know that you are doing something very similar to what your dad did, your mom did, your granddad did. I have a lot of aunts and uncles that were in the industry. What does it mean? You mentioned your kids and their kids. Are they already in the business at all? Are they helping? What's that role look like?
Yeah, so they're still young. My oldest is just heading off to college, but they all still work in the business, and we're still trying to figure out if that means they're going to come back or anything like that. But we're letting them, sow their wild oats, so to speak, and figure out what they're going to do with their life, and just hoping that it'll mean coming back home.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it'll be cool to see how that works out. Hopefully they will. I'm fingers crossed they'll come back to the business.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, tell me a little bit about, you started in this role part-time, and then within a year you had pitched just another location, and now you guys have 4 locations in Timberville, Virginia, and the surrounding areas. So tell me a little bit about that. What gave you confidence to actually get in there and say, like, let's go do this, and we can open a new place?
Well, I was confident in myself and my management abilities. Probably a little overconfident, as a lot of us are when we're young, you know. But I also saw that what my father-in-law had built was duplicable. You know, it was something that we could grow, and that it had a really wide audience around our county. That people were excited about it and wanted to support us. And so I saw that there was just an opening in a community not too far from us, and something we could build on there.
What did you think was the biggest opportunity? Because you mentioned the customers kind of buying in and loving it. What did you hear? What were people saying that made you think people love this? Because I think there's something about an independent home hardware store.
Yeah.
It's so special, and I don't think people understand the difference between, you know, there's big box, there's all those things. They have a lot of the same products, sometimes the exact same products. What makes a independent hardware store so special? There's
so many things. I think, you know, not only are we a solution for the products we offer, but more than that, we're a solution in fixing things. You know, we have a trademark for we fix stuff. Yeah. And we like to think of that organically, in that we don't just fix your toilet or your sink or whatever. We're, you know, there to help solve problems in the community. Yeah. You know, at large, everything. And so that's, I think, what the difference is between us and some big corporate, big box that's there, that we're really rooted in the community. We want to make a difference in the community. And that's the solutions we're looking for every day. Yeah, and people that work there, people that come in, some of these people are generational. You know, their mom, their dad, their granddad shop there, maybe still does. Do you have things that you do with the community? I know you're very involved, that maybe in your store, and then what do you do outside of your store in the community? Yeah, so I'm on several nonprofit boards, and you know, try to volunteer as much as I can. I'm on the NHPA board as well. Just recently joined that. Try to give back to the industry that's given so much to me and my family. Yeah, and also, we support as many local causes as we possibly can. You know, we have to have a budget because you can go broke supporting them, as you know. But we just try to support as many causes as we can. We don't do a great job as independent businesses as promoting ourselves. We feel kind of awkward about that, which is, you know, not necessarily a great thing, but we support a ton of local causes, and awesome. We feel good about that. Yeah, I remember as a young girl, you know, I was a Girl Scout, and there was just lots of cool things, and it really was a lot of those small businesses that paid for us to do things, or like softball team or whatever. There wouldn't have been those trips or wouldn't have been those opportunities without businesses like yours. So it's really important. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because, you know, branding is something I talk about a lot. We are very operations minded as an industry. We're not showy. We're humble. And sometimes that is our own worst enemy. Absolutely. You know, I talked this morning a little bit about being the best kept secret. It's a liability now, especially in an online world. How are you guys addressing that? Because I know you're on YouTube. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing on YouTube, how that gets started, and what's it look like today? That's kind of a long story, but we are active in marketing in general, and have been for several years. Really, I saw that as an opportunity when I became an executive to just invest in marketing, to actually have a budget and do marketing in general. And we analyze it pretty regularly. Is it working? You know, what should we be doing differently? We used to do a lot of traditional marketing on radio and print, and have steered away from that because we just didn't see the results anymore. And so we've gone a lot more digitally because we see a lot better results. And we realized that digitally we were skewing a lot older, with Facebook especially. We were doing a ton on Facebook because it was working really well for us, but it was skewing older. And we wanted to attract customers that weren't already shopping with us, the Gen Zs and younger millennials. And we found that they were, watching a lot of YouTube, listening to Spotify, those sorts of things, not listening to the radio,
Right.
of course, and not, looking at a newspaper of all things. And so we had to change our tactics. We launched a YouTube channel, and we had been doing it for years, but we had been focusing on like how to fix your sink,
Sure.
and things that you could look at 1,000 other videos and do on YouTube. And so what we decided to do, my COO came up with the idea, Austin, and he said, why don't we do something like Orange County Choppers? Remember those guys? And he was like, why don't we do like a reality TV kind of series and just like life behind the scenes in a hardware store, see how it goes. And it's been great. It's been fun to shoot. It takes very little time from us. We have a company come in and do the filming for us. And it's been great. It's been very well received. It's attracting the younger audiences, even down to kids, which is awesome for us,
really cool.
And we get a lot of positive feedback from our customers and new people coming in.
It's amazing, I think, when you start to look at what could happen if you stop thinking about it the way you've always thought about it, that first principles thinking of what if we didn't do it that way, what if we turn it on its head? And it is kind of scary though, because people judge you in the industry, other stores, other people, like, well, what are you trying to be, an influencer, or, the Kardashians or something. But at the end of the day, if you look at, the Kardashians are a good example because it's the furthest thing from the hardware industry I can think of probably, but they have built billions of dollars worth of empire off of that show that literally just showed what they were doing. People want to see behind the scenes. And they want to see the boring stuff. It doesn't have to be something crazy that's happening for them to want to watch it. Human nature, I think we're so intrigued by other humans. And I also think that it does help to see somebody like you, that's the CEO leading that charge. So you mentioned marketing being one of your things you wanted to put in the budget. I see and talk to a lot of leaders that don't really believe in marketing in our industry. Tell me your thoughts on that just a little bit deeper, because I don't understand it, because it's the thing that brings business in, but they somehow don't see that. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's because it's so hard to measure most of the time. The ROI is just frustratingly difficult to measure. And a lot of times you feel like you're just throwing money into nothing. And the problem is when you take it away, you slowly and almost imperceptibly are dying. You're not getting new customers to come in. You're just relying on what you have and possibly word of mouth, which does grow your business a little bit, but you're not attracting the new customers, the new generations. And that's a big problem. Look at all the biggest businesses in the world. They're all spending a fortune on marketing.
I know.
And we have to emulate that and at least do a fraction of what they're doing, in some emulation.
Some big companies, I talk a lot about brand. You look at what they're doing and they're marketing so much brand awareness work, which is almost impossible to track because it's a long game. But in a business where you are planning on being there in a generation, another generation, some of these people are 4th, 5th generations. What does it matter if it takes 3 months, 6 months, 10 months, a year? If you're planning on being here in 20 years, that's worth it. But I think people get short-sighted on it. So that's the thing, is that they do, when you do something like operations and you say, okay, well, I'll take a lumber truck for an example, or, you remodel the store or something very tactical, you can see that. Physically, you know what it's going to cost, when the end date is, when it's going to, be paid off, whatever. And then you also can see the person in that store or the truck going to that job site. It is so much easier to measure. So I think that's a wonderful point. How do you get, as you said, you do a lot of data tracking. What part of it do you say, hey, that's more brand awareness and that is going to be almost impossible to track the real value versus this brings us in this cost per click, or this actual dollar came from this marketing? Again, that's not something, we don't have a great way of doing that. Sometimes it's still a shot in the dark for us. We're not a great, I'm by no means an expert on marketing, but I think you still have to be investing in it. Either way, both ways, both in building your brand, maintaining your brand,
building the awareness of your brand and growing your brand, getting new customers to come in. And I think you can't ever sacrifice either one. It's like, it's just crucial to who you are, Yeah.
Talking about the YouTube, so there's obviously metrics on YouTube. You can see how many people are watching it. But how often do you have people come in the store and talk to you about the YouTube?
Almost every day.
It's really cool.
It's really fun. Yeah, it's super fun. Yeah.
Do you have kind of like characters that
we do?
So, okay.
Yeah.
So people, they know people from the YouTube that they don't really know because they've been watching it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and we try to highlight a lot of our staff, and we go to each store so they see the different stores, but it's super fun.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I wish more people would do that because we have some really awesome people in our industry.
And great stories.
We do, and some of them are funny.
Yeah.
Some of them are not funny. They're very serious, and that's even funnier when they're super dry and they don't really want to talk about it on camera. I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like if we could all just be a little less serious with ourselves, that we would have a lot more fun doing some of this marketing stuff, because I do think we get to the point where we have to make it perfect, and it's just not going to be that way.
No, but marketing, I think in general, is an imperfect science, and that's part of why it's so frustrating a lot of times, but just set your budget. In my case, it was take it off my plate and hire somebody.
Right.
And that's just been a game changer for us. I mean, it's really worked well. Give them a budget and make sure they stay on budget, which is our measurable.
Yeah.
And then just make sure that they're getting results, and we measure that through the feedback we get, and new customers coming in, and it's been great.
Well, and Gen Z and millennials, I mean, I am a millennial, but especially Gen Z, they're doing so much research and purchasing online, and a lot of that starts on a YouTube video. I think my husband and I have learned more from podcasts and YouTube videos than anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, I do read a lot of books, but I mean, we listen to podcasts at the gym. We watch YouTube videos on Saturday night instead of watching movies or TV shows, because a lot of it's business related.
Yeah.
And Gen Z is doing that.
Yeah.
And millennials are doing that. So if you're not thinking about this in your hardware business, you are missing out on a whole another, like you said, half of the population that's purchasing wax rings for their toilets or a sink, for their house. What do you see as the most common when you think about products and things that people misunderstand or like want to know more about? What are those products that you think people come in and ask about in the store or won't help with?
I think our plumbing department is probably the most asked about. Yeah, and it's probably most misunderstood, and probably the easiest department for us to, upsell and make an extra dime there and make a little extra profit. So that's probably our easiest one. Yeah. I
remember when Shark Bite plumbing fixtures came out. There was like when I was selling at my dad's lumberyard and hardware store, and they were pretty expensive, but they're so easy, right? And so it was easy to change that $19 90-degree angle into a Shark Bite that was like $15 at the time. They're probably like $30 now. But I did think that that's a really cool thing. And I always like the plumbing aisle because it is like puzzle, solving. And unlike other places, it's a little bit more of a metric. You can go back there and try to figure out how to get from A to B. And I love that. What cool innovations or products have you seen come out that excite you? Anything that you guys are selling that you're like, that's a great thing?
Product wise, we recently implemented battery operated steel equipment in our main store. And I'm just a big believer in that category. They're going hard after it. They're a little late to the game compared to people like Ego, but they are doing really fantastic things in that category. And I think battery operated OPE, outdoor power equipment in general, is just a game changer. It's like AI is now. It's been fantastic in selling for us. It's done really well for us that way, but it's just so much easier for customers. It's so much easier to maintain.
You don't have to go get gas and then keep it in your garage. And what do you do? How do you get it back if you don't have a truck? And it's a whole thing. I got to drive one of the steel battery powered zero turns at the Do It Best show last year. it was the highlight of my whole show. So I'm hoping in September that they'll have me back. I only hit one cone.
Okay.
I felt pretty good about that.
Did you hit it full throttle? Because those things go fast.
I did kind of run over it, but I hit it from the side. I don't even know if it counted, Christian. It was kind of, I'm like, no one got it on camera, did they? They were like, nope, you didn't hit any cones. And then they posted it on social, and I was hitting the cones.
Of course.
So I got set up, but I'm hoping to have an adventure at the Do It Best market.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Do It Best and your partnership with them.
Yeah.
Having a partner in this business, especially as a smaller independent that's going up against giants like Home Depot, Lowe's, and Walmart, what does it mean to have someone who is also a very large company that can support you like Do It Best?
It's everything, having the support of somebody like Do It Best, and I'll point out the NHPA as well as our industry.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. My brother and I launched another independent business. It's a game store a few years ago, and it's doing well, but they have no industry backing at all. And so they just get hammered and dictated what they can do and what they can't do by their distributor. And we have a partner in Do It Best, and a support in NHPA. And they help us to see where our flaws are. They help us to figure out what we can do about it. And then they support us with products, and negotiating the best deals and things like that. And, we're not just a dinky little store in rural Virginia. We're a part of a big organization, and it means the world to us. It's why we're successful.
Yeah, they help you punch above your weight class as an independent. And I think going from my dad's store to I worked for a larger two-step distributor, you do see the difference that negotiating power and all of those things, they give you a lot of leverage, and there's just no way that you could ever have it as a small business by yourself. So they're amazing. What is one of your favorite things about going to the market? Because I know September's coming up soon. We're going to be at the market in Indianapolis. So what's one of your favorite things there?
I love seeing all my friends and networking. I never consider it networking. I just seeing friends and meeting new people. That's my favorite part of market every time, and coming to things like this conference. But seeing the new stuff coming out is really fun. Going to my favorite restaurants. I love Harry and Izzy's.
Harry and Izzy's is good.
Indy is awesome. I love the market. I love conferences in general.
Yeah, and this show is going to be cool because it's the 80th anniversary of Do It Best. I didn't actually realize that until recently, so I'm excited about that. It's an 80s party. Do you have like a mullet ready or?
No.
You probably.
You do?
Yeah, probably should get ready for that.
Okay, I'll grow it out in 3 weeks.
Oh, no pressure, but your 80s outfit should be on point.
Okay, I'll try.
I'm going to be patiently waiting. So let's talk about Walmart, because you have a story going head to head with Walmart. So tell me how that came about. And, a lot of people would panic if a super Walmart was moving in next door, but you guys didn't. You did the opposite. So tell me about that.
Well, we did panic at first. Yeah. I mean, I did. Yeah. And when we heard they were coming to town, we fought it as much as we could, of course. It's a tiny little town, and we were getting a super Walmart. It made no sense to us. We didn't understand why they would want to come, why the people in town would want them. I did a ton of research, and that's where it started. I read all the books I could find, all the studies I could find, and tried to present information to the town that they weren't good for little towns. It's been shown over and over again that crime goes up, unemployment goes up, they kill small businesses all over the board, and all that stuff. So, so anyway, when that didn't work and the town approved it, we said, well, we're going to coexist, I guess, and we came up with a battle plan to go against them. And it involved, getting rid of a lot of the products that didn't set us apart, that they sold to. Totally phasing those out. A lot of like cheap imported stuff like that. Focusing on American-made stuff. Focusing on products that are like real high quality. Focusing on our services that they just don't offer. And our service, like what what sets us apart is people can come in, we talk to them, and we know them, and that's
actually know what you're talking about.
We
too.
do, yeah. And
I can't imagine going to get help on plumbing. I know they don't really sell like true plumbing, but that would be an adventure. You know, any big box trying to ask questions. I mean, because that person probably was working in a different department like 2 days ago. You know.
Yeah. So and they opened. We typically, from my research, I think we saw typically a 30% decrease in your sales. Most stores did, and we saw like a 3% decrease in sales. And it was only for a few months, and then all of our customers came back. They started sending customers to us, and the increase in traffic to town helped us. It was after 3 months we saw an increase.
Wow.
So it
awesome.
became a growth opportunity for us after all.
That's awesome. Tell me about the Made in America piece, because I love that. I think it's obviously something that most independent businesses would love to do more of. But then you also mentioned having premium type products that set you apart, because everyone doesn't want cheap junk. They don't want something that's going to break after one use or is the cheapest thing. So how does that premium and Made in America really work for you and your customer base?
You have to have a conversation with people about it, because like we would, when we switched, I remember switching our galvanized fittings from Chinese to American made. It went up in price by 30-40%. And I remember some people just complaining about the price, and then we'd point out, and we actually put little American flag stickers on everything. And they were like, oh, okay. You know, they were just, as soon as you pointed out why the price was that way, they're like, oh, that's fine then. Okay, And that was a key differentiator, is having a conversation with people and telling them why we did it, and why it was a little more expensive, and why we're going through the whole process in general, is make sure our people still had jobs. We didn't want to close and all that stuff, and that was a big deal for us, and it worked out well.
That's awesome. What premium products do you see that your consumers come in and they're really willing to pay for the higher end thing?
In our case, we have a few niches. Like I sell high-end knives, hunting knives and camping knives, high-end axes. We sell.
Those are super cool.
They're really cool.
I mean, I think it's because maybe my dad sold like case knives when we were growing up, but those axes are so cool, and I would never use it because I don't camp, but I just feel like I need to buy it every time I see one. I don't know, it's really fun.
You and me both, and I've got a few.
You're like, this one's just a little too nice to leave on the shelf. I love it.
And let's see, I mean, like I said, our plumbing fittings, a lot of those have just switched to American made, but our tools, we brought in steel.
That makes a big difference. And I think a lot of people don't realize the line that they sell at the big box is not the same line as the line you sell at an independent. It's not the same thing.
It's not. It could have the same model number, and it's not the same.
It's not the same at all, and it will not be the same in 5 years.
Oh, no.
One will run, and one will probably not run.
Exactly, I had to learn that the hard way. We had a guy bring in a drill to us, and he said it stopped working. We asked him where he got it. He got it at a big box store. And we took it apart, and we opened up one of ours. There were plastic internals in the one from the big box store, and brass in ours. Had the same model number and everything.
Chainsaws are the same way.
It was so crazy. And we were like, and they were selling it for, 30% cheaper than ours, but it looked exactly the same from the outside, and he couldn't believe it. And we're like, this is what you get. You get what you pay for in this day and age, you know. It was just a gimmick they used.
I think the education around that, though, it's tough because people they see one thing on the price tag. They see the model numbers the same. It is kind of a little bit of a ruse, but it also is where your expertise and your selling power, now you can tell people that. And again, I do think that people understand once they see why, they're like, okay. So it's important, I think, for us to remember that as a independent retailer, that you can educate your customers. And I like to talk a lot about, consultative selling. How do you tell them what they need when they don't really know what they need in a kind way, but helping guide them and being the guide for our customers? I think it's really important. Well, you're doing amazing things in the industry, and I love what you guys are doing with the YouTube and pushing the boundaries and all the things. But if you were going back to part-time helper where you didn't know what you know now, and someone was in the store What advice would you give a young person coming into our industry that maybe has no experience if they were going to start here today?
Yeah, it's the same advice I give my kids, and that is think like a manager. And what I mean by that is to think outside of yourself and your position, and to think about the problems that other people are facing around you, you know, whether that's the customers or your coworkers or your boss even, and see if you can address any of those. Because a lot of us are flying by the seat of our pants. A lot of, you know, and you know, you'll find as you become a manager or become an executive that a lot of it is just becoming the person who has answers or becoming the person who can give an answer. Not necessarily the right answer.
None
just
of us
an
have
answer.
it figured out, right?
None of us have it figured out, but they just want an answer.
I remember when I first realized that when I was at a very large company and I kept thinking like the person at the very top had, like they know, like there's something behind that curtain that they have it all figured out. They're just not telling us. And now that I have my own company and realize it's like, oh yeah, we're all just trying to figure it out every day. Some of us have a little more experience, we have more figured out, but things change so rapidly in our businesses that it is your job to just try to be the one with the answers. That's such great advice. And with your kids, do you find it to be interesting to watch them with their different styles and their different personalities to work through?
Yeah. And seeing them, they're now, my youngest is 9, my oldest is 18. And so, they're such great little people, you know, not little necessarily, but they're so interesting and I just love them. They're great.
Well, I'm fingers crossed that they're going to come back to the family business. I think that they will, and they definitely have a great role model in you, so it's exciting. Well, thank you for all you're doing to push the industry, and I can't wait to keep watching your story, and I'm going to get up to see those axes in Virginia, because it sounds like I've got to come check them out. All right, well, thank you for joining me on the Grit Blueprint podcast, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Grit Blueprint podcast. If this episode helped you think a little differently about how to show up, share it with someone in your building world who needs it. If you're ready to turn visibility into growth, then head to gritblueprint.com to learn more and book a call to talk to us about your growth strategy. Until next time, stay unmistakable.